This is the case of the state of Ohio versus Peyton Racy, 25 CR 42891. Present before the court is Mr. Racy, right?
Yes.
Represented by Mr. Wendell. We have Mr. View from the prosecutor's office, Officer Henry from probation. We're here today for sentencing. Has everybody had the opportunity to review the PSI?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any reason not to go forward with sentence today?
No, sir.
No, Your
103 days of jail time credit and no restitution sound right to everybody?
That's correct, Judge.
Yes.
All right. Mr. View, on behalf of the state or the victim?
I believe that victim Elaine Racy would like to make a statement to the court, Your Honor.
Okay. You're Miss Racy, right? Okay. Why don't you come up to the podium so I can hear you a little better? If you're okay with that. I did get your letter, by the way.
Okay.
What do you want to tell me, ma'am?
Well, just that I forgave Peyton. I love Peyton. He's a good kid, except when he has this anger. And everything was in my letter. Basically, I just wanted to tell Peyton what I told you.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to tell me?
No, I just don't want him to go to prison. I'm not mad at him. I wasn't from the moment it happened. I forgave him. And it was such a stupid thing to trigger all of this. He's all I have left of relatives. If you take him away, I'm completely alone and I need some help. He's kind to me when he's not in this anger mood.
Buckle up, guys. Today we're stepping into a courtroom filled with emotion, tension, and heartbreak. The judge opens the case of State of Ohio versus Peyton Ray, and what starts as routine soon turns deeply personal. The victim, Peyton's own mother, takes the stand with trembling hands and a heavy heart. She forgives him, calls him a good kid, and pleads for mercy. Her pain fills the room as she begs the court not to send him away. You can feel every word crack the silence. It's the kind of moment that leaves even seasoned courtroom veterans shaken, unsure whether they're witnessing strength or heartbreak in its purest form.
Basically, that's it.
Thank you, Miss Racy. Mr. View?
Your Honor, in terms of the purposes and principles of sentencing and aggravating mitigating factors and seriousness of the offense, in the state's position, this is a prison case. As the court's aware of Mr. Racy's history of violence, and all of that history of violence has been directed towards his mother, Elaine Racy. 2023, the defendant was charged with a felonious assault and felony domestic violence for an assault against Mrs. Racy, and that was he was given an opportunity at that time to address whatever issues he could regarding his behavior, and it was identified at that time that alcohol was a significant issue, and he engaged in treatment. He was on supervision to this court, I think barely a year or so, and at the request of Mrs. Racy, that supervision was terminated based upon the information that we have, that she then allowed Mr. Racy to move back in with her, and the violence began very shortly after that and has continued up until we have another major felony assault on her. Both of those cases, the 2023 case and this case, involved strangulation and threats of death, that he was going to kill her. This case involved threats against her pets, threats to burn down their house. They're very serious violence, both in terms of the conduct that he engaged in and the conduct that he pled guilty to, and the threats he's made of future conduct in the case. I do not say this lightly. I think the history of violence beginning in 2009 against his mother and the escalating violence against her poses a very serious threat of death to Mrs. Racy if he's allowed to have contact with her. I understand her perspective. I think anyone can sympathize with her in terms of being a mother. She does not want her child to go to prison, but by the defendant's own statements during the PSI, he denied, and there was no indication on the date of the arrest that he was under the influence of alcohol at the time this occurred. He denies having any significant mental health issues. There's no history of mental health, hospitalizations, or other psychiatric care. The only medications he's taking are for blood pressure. The defendant denies that he has any issues with alcohol now. He rates himself as a 1. Has no needs in terms of treatment needs. And I think it's telling that in his statement account of the events this date, he in fact, in the end, denies that he engaged in this conduct. And the only thing that he takes any responsibility for is what he calls a bad choice to not open the door when the police came. I think that's about as much minimizing as you can get, the least amount of remorse and acceptance of responsibility for the ongoing significant violence that Mr. Racy has continued to engage in. I think there are really no mitigating factors in this that anything other than a prison sentence would demean the seriousness of Mr. Racy's conduct. I think his history and his history on supervision demonstrate that he has not taken account for changing his behavior, and therefore the state's recommendation as to count 1, strangulation, is 36 months in prison. As to count 3, inducing panic, is 18 months in prison. I think that it is necessary to incarcerate him and segregate him from the community, but from Mrs. Racy in particular, for as long as the court has the ability to do so. Thank you, Your Honor.
Now the prosecutor steps in, and the tone of the room changes instantly. His words are calm but piercing, each one a reminder of just how dark this story really is. He lays out a long, disturbing pattern of violence, assaults, strangulation, threats to kill his own mother and burn down her home. He speaks of missed chances, broken trust, and a man who refuses to change. Every detail feels heavier than the last. The courtroom energy tightens as the prosecutor insists that prison is the only option left. The mother's forgiveness clashes with the state's fear for her safety, creating a chilling moral conflict no one can ignore.
Officer Henry, anything from probation?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Wendell?
Your Honor, thank you. Judge, I would respectfully submit that Mr. Racy is appropriate for community control. I think the issues that he has can be adequately addressed. With that, I think that's borne out by recommendations from Star Community Justice Center, their acceptance for admission. I think he does have a history of substance abuse. Talbert House certainly recommends him for anger management. I think certainly that is appropriate. I would note importantly, there is no presumption of prison in the matter, despite the fact that it is a felony of the 3rd degree, the strangulation. Yes, he was on a previous period of community control that was terminated successful. Certainly there is a relapse, if you will, inappropriate criminal behavior. I don't mean to minimize that. Judge, he does have a good employment history. You'll note that he's been a yard worker and driver. That has been verified by adult probation notes immediately prior to this matter and in the years preceding. Judge, I think he is an appropriate candidate for community control. His issues and problems can be effectively addressed through that.
When the defense rises, the air feels different again, softer, almost hopeful. Peyton's lawyer paints him as a man with flaws, but not beyond redemption. He talks about his steady job, his willingness to enter programs, and his potential to reform under supervision instead of behind bars. His voice carries a quiet urgency, trying to remind everyone that even broken people can change. The judge listens closely, expression unreadable, as logic and empathy battle it out across the courtroom floor. It's a final push for mercy in a setting that seems to have already made up its mind.
We'll submit on that basis. Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Racy, you get the last word in all this. What do you want to tell me?
I'm sorry for everything that happened. I love my mother. It's been an awful year since my dad died, and just everything has spiraled downhill. That's no excuse, but it's just been a bad year.
So here's where I'm at on this, Mr. Racy. A couple of years ago, in Ohio, we gave the victims the constitutional right to speak. And I mean, we always did that in Warren County. We gave our victims the opportunity to speak. But I think when the people of Ohio embodied that in our Constitution, it made a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to have constitutional right for a victim to speak and not listen to what they have to say. And I understand, Ms. Racy, your position in this, that you love your son, that you forgive your son.
Then comes the moment everyone's been waiting for. Peyton himself finally speaks. The room goes still as he apologizes, voice low and uncertain, saying he loves his mother and blames grief for his downfall. He admits it's been a terrible year since his father's death, but insists that's no excuse. For a split second, you can almost see the boy his mother described, the one buried beneath anger and regret. The apology hangs in the air like a fragile thread between guilt and forgiveness. Everyone waits, silently wondering if it's too little, too late.
One of the things that I did, Ms. Racy, is I read your letter. I also read the letter that you sent me in June of 2023, which basically said exactly the same thing, that you love your son, that you forgive him, that you want mercy for him, and you wanted me to remove the protection order. In that case, it was very similar to this case without the involvement of all the law enforcement afterwards. So I do understand, Ms. Racy, that this puts you in a bad spot, puts me in a bad spot. There's three things I do up here, Mr. Racy. I protect the public, I punish offenders, and I rehabilitate people. Those are the three basic goals that I have when I sentence somebody. I put you on probation once before. Everything seemed to go along pretty well during the year that you were on supervision with me. We have the alcohol issue that sort of comes up frequently. As Mr. View pointed out, I don't know that you are in a position where you really acknowledge that. You know, you've been in jail for 103 days. That seems like enough time to punish you for all this. But here's the thing, Mr. Racy, and this is, I need to protect your mom from you. And that's just the bottom line. Somebody's got to do it, and it's got to be me. I am going to impose a 36-month prison sentence on the strangulation and a 12-month prison sentence on the inducing panic. I'm going to be ordering those to be served consecutively. So you're going to receive a 4-year prison sentence. And I apologize to you, Ms. Racy, that the hardship this works on you, but I cannot have this continue to happen over and over in my jurisdiction, Mr. Racy. I just can't. I think a consecutive sentence is necessary to properly punish you and to protect the public, given your criminal history in the case. So I think consecutive sentences are necessary. I'm not going to impose a fine. I am going to impose the costs. This includes a mandatory period of post-release control. And it escapes me now, 1 to 3 years. So you're going to be supervised by the adult parole authority upon your release. If you violate the terms of that supervision, you can be returned to prison for up to 1/2 of my original sentence. Or if you violate by committing a new felony, then you can be returned to prison for up to 1 year or the amount of time you have left on post-release control. It's automatically whichever of those is the longer period, and it's automatically consecutive to the sentence that you receive for the new felony. You do have the right to appeal this to the 12th District Court of Appeals in Middletown. If you don't have the funds to hire a lawyer, to obtain a transcript, or to pay the costs, they'll all be provided to you at no charge. Anything else we need to do? Anything that I forgot?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Miss Racy. I really am. Good luck to you, Mr. Racy.
You understand the sentence with that kind of order.
We're in recess.
And now, the final decision. The judge's voice is calm but unshakably firm as he speaks about justice, duty, and protection. He recalls past letters from the mother, letters that beg for mercy after similar violence, and says he can't let this cycle repeat. The tension peaks as he finally delivers the sentence, 4 years in prison. The mother's face falls, tears slipping through quiet sobs, while the judge apologizes for doing what he must. It's a heart-wrenching end to a story defined by love, pain, and consequence. Justice has been served, but no one leaves this room victorious. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.